Math 96, section 11.7. This section, we want to talk about graphing of quadratic functions. Quadratic functions, the graph is always a problem. So whether you have equations of y equal x plus bx plus c, so in order to graph our function or the problem, we got to change these equations to this format. When you change it to that format, then what you have in the parentheses, the number you have in the parentheses, in this case is h, and the k outside, this is your vertex. Vertex is lowest or highest point of the problem. Shape of the parabola is half a bowl. So its parabola is either open upward or downward. A number you see in front of the parentheses, if that number, letter A, if that number is greater than 0 or is positive, parabola open upward. If that number is less, the parabola open downward. There is a line that goes through the parabola and break it into two equal pieces. That line, they call it axis of symmetry. Equation of axis of symmetry, which is x equal a number, is x equal h. Whatever number you have here, that would be your axis of symmetry. And in the problems, they also ask you to find minimum or maximum. To find the minimum or maximum, k is the value. Like in this case, you have minimum, you have maximum, and in this case, you have minimum. So this should be maximum and minimum. Gotta correct that. Okay. All right. So now we go to the first problem. It said complete the square to write the function in this form. So when we give you the equation, we give you equation like this, and then you have to change it to this form. And how do we do that? So the first page, it has a bunch of problems that we give you these equations, and we ask you to write it in the other form. The first one, so what you do is this. You see what number is sitting next to x, which in this case is 8. You take half of that and raise it to power of 2. You add and subtract. Means you are not really doing anything because you're adding and subtracting the same number. When you're adding and subtracting the same number, so half of 8 is 4. Then the first three, there is an equation that if you have a squared plus twice of ab plus b to power, this is the formula that we had in algebra. And if you have perfect of square of two terms and twice of multiplication of these two, you could change it to a plus b quantity square. And if you have a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, if there is a negative, then in the parentheses you have a negative. So what I need to do is I need to create b squared. That's why I take half of this 8, which is 4, raise it to power of 2, and subtract. It's like I'm adding 16 and negative 16. It's like I'm not really changing anything, just the form of the graph. So in that case, then the first one, the first 3 is x minus 4. Why is it minus? Because there is a minus here. And then negative 16 and 18 is 2. So see, that's how to change it to the form of a equal a x minus h to power of 2 plus k. Next problem, number 2. To do that, you always have to have 1 in front of x2. x2 must be alone. You shouldn't have any number here if you want to follow this process. So what I do is first I divide everything by 3. And remember, f of x and y are the same things. So instead of f of x, I just write y. So what I do is I divide everything by 3. Doing that, then I don't have any number in front of x2 but 1. Then I'll take these two. You always work with the one that has x in it. Half of 4 is 2. So I add 2 to the power of 2, subtract 2 to the power of 2. Then again, this 3 is x plus 2 to the power of 2. And then minus 4 minus 4/3. I show you here how we algebraically add these two. So it will be minus 16 over 3, and then sit there. Now, to find the final answers, since our always equation is y equals something, I multiply everything by 3. I'll multiply every term by 3. So in that case, we could get rid of this 3. See, that's the general equations. And remember, the general equation should be y equal a x minus h to the power of 2 plus k. The same thing for this one. There is a 2. I don't want this 2, so divide both sides by 2 first. Now I need to take half of 7/2 or half of 3.5 or 7/2. And I'll show you half of that to the power of 2. And I'll show you here how we do that addition and subtractions of fractions here. So 7.5 divided by 2. What is 7.5? Well, 7.5 is the number here, right? We want to divide it by 2. 7.5 divided by 2 is like divided by 2 over 1. It's like 7.5 divided by 2 over 1 is 7.5 times, so you reverse this, is 7 over 4. So finally, this part, or this part, is 7 over 4. Okay. And then this 3 is, because of this negative, x minus 7/4 to the power of 2. And then 7, remember, this negative sign is not in front of this. So you have to take these numbers and raise it to the power of 2, and there is always a negative here. So this negative is not a part of this calculations. You always leave it there. Okay, and then now I have 7 minus 7 over 4 plus 6 over 1. I'll show you how to do the calculation here at the end. 47/16. Then I'll multiply everything back by 2. And that's the general equations. Again, the general equation is a times x minus h to the power of 2 plus k. So far, we want to show you how to do the conversion from ax squared plus from this. How to do the conversion from that to this. And what they did on these problems, they also ask you to find the vertex and all this. And see here, vertex is the lowest point on this graph, which you could read it off of the graph because the graph is given -4 and 15. Axis of symmetry is the line that split the parabola into 2 equal pieces. Always goes through the vertex. So basically, the first value of the vertex is that number. So in this case, it should be -3. Get a correction again here. Problem number 5. Now they want you to find a vertex and axis of symmetry. So they want you to do all the work to this. And then after you finish this, change it to parabola. Then they want you to find the vertex and axis of symmetry. The same thing for this problem. They want you to work on this, change it to the format of x minus h to the power of 2, then read the vertex and axis. So this is a statement of problems. On the next page, I'll show you the solution. So what I do is, again, look, 8, half of 8 is 4 to power of 2. We do all this work. Then what you have in the parentheses is the h and k is your vertex. So positive 4 is minus h. Remember here, minus h is positive 4. That means h is negative 4 and k is 2. You have the vertex, you have the axis of symmetry is x equal this number. And then if you want to have the exact shape of the parabola, you could always throw a number here. Like when x is, through the number, when x is equal negative 3, what's the y value? You take that number and you substitute here. Same thing for this problem. It's very similar to that. Remember, you always need to have x2 by itself, not even the negative. So first I multiply everything by negative. So I have positive here. After I do all the work, then at the end, I'll multiply everything back to the negative 1. So this is your general equations. In the parentheses, you have 3. X is always opposite of what you see here. So if this is negative 3, x is positive 3. See, here, opposite of positive 4 is your h, which is negative 4. Opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. But k is the same. So this is the original problems. Again, these two problems, they want you to work on these, okay, and change it first. This is the solutions. You take half of the 5 power of 2 minus. The vertex is, the x of vertex is always opposite sign. So if this is minus 5 half, the vertex is positive 5 half. The other one remained the same. Axis of symmetry is always this number, x equal 5 half. What is half of 8? 4. 4 to power of 2 minus 4. And then this 3 is that. See, very similar. Vertex is opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. 5 is 5, and so on. And then on next page is the pictures. Problem number 9, very similar again. Remember, we have to have, in front of x2, we have to have 1, not 3. So what I do is I show you the solution on the next page. What we do is we divide by 3 everything first. So now I have to work on this 2, x2 minus 2x. Half of 2 is 1. 1 to power of 2 minus 1. The first 3 is this. Then at the end, you multiply both sides by 3 again. So 3 times y over 3 is y. 3 here, 3 here. This is your equation. This is your final equations. What is opposite of negative 1? Positive 1. Vertex. And a is greater than 0. A is the number in front of the parenthesis. If that is greater than 0, it means graph open upward. And this is the graph. They also ask for the minimum. What is minimum? Remember, I said minimum is this number. In the formula I show you on the first page, k is always minimum or maximum, depend. If your graph open upward, you always have a minimum. If the graph open downward, you always have maximum. In the problem, we ask you to find minimum or maximum, means the k value. That's why here, minimum is 1. And you see there is a minimum here, okay? Because graph open up. Next subject is how to find x and y intercept. You know, the parabola always intersect. If you have a parabola here, let's say you have this parabola, right? This parabola, when intersect the y-axis, they call this y-intercept. They want you to find this value. If your parabola hit the x-axis, These points, they call it x-intercept. Sometimes you have one or two. But the formula is this. On the original equation, first you set 0 for x, find a y value. That is your y-intercept. Or you set y equals 0 and find the x. That is your x-intercept. So for instance, for the problem number 10, to find the y-intercept, I have to put y equals 0. Y equals 0 means the whole function is equal to 0. I want to use the factoring, is easier to use. You could also use a quadratic. So I'll multiply everything by negative first because I always like to have positive 1 here in front of x2. And then one of the method of factoring was you need to find two numbers whose multiplication is minus 18, and when you subtract is negative 7, or is a minus 9 and positive 2. When you take each parenthesis equal to 0, then x is opposite of this. 9, opposite of that is, these are your y-intercept. I should say this, I'm sorry, this should be your x-intercept because they're intercepting the x. And now to find the other intercept, the y-intercept, it should be y-intercept. You just put 0 for x, so these are gone, is 18. Okay, so we always follow this rule. When you put x equals 0 and you find a y, means you want to know where the graph hit the y-axis. When you put y equals 0 and you're looking for x, means you want to know where graph hit x-axis. These are the other two problems, very similar. The last one, I use the quadratic formula, and I understand that under the radical is a negative, so there is no intercept, there is no x-intercept, okay? Because you cannot solve this equation. But the y-intercept is okay, because you just put 0 for x and y is 15. Okay, so that would help you to do all the homework problems on that sections.